So in my last video in this series, I ended up getting my Goodreads Want to Read list down to 489 books. And now here we are 3 months later and I have 518 books on my Goodreads Want to Read list. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Hi, hello, how are you? How has your week been? If you have never seen one of my videos in this series before, I started a series back in January of last year where I go through my Goodreads Want to Read list and decide if the books on that list are actually ones that I want to read. Because theoretically, I would love that list to be one that I can actually use as a TBR. However, right now there are just too many books on there for it to be a realistic list of books that I want to read, and the list is only going to continue to grow as more books get released and I find more that I want to read. But then there are days like today where I decide to sit down and go through the books on my want to read list and decide if I actually want to read them, and I look at the books to see if there's any spice in it because I particularly don't really want to read spice in my books. Let's see how many books I can get rid of today. Okay, the first book we're going to be looking at today is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I believe I've seen this movie. It has Amanda Stanberg in it, I believe. It says she's allergic to the world. I don't leave my house. I have not left my house in 15 years. But then she starts to fall in love with the boy next door. I did really like this movie. Is there a second book to this? Because I feel like I remember the ending of this movie being like a pretty big cliffhanger, but it doesn't say that it's a part of a series. Wait a minute. No, never mind. So there is not a sequel to Everything Everything, but it says that her other book, The Sun Is Also a Star, can be seen as a companion story. However, when I first read that, I thought that it was talking about the movie with Bella Thorne, Midnight Sun, that is very similar to Everything Everything. However, it's not. It has the word sun in it, but that is probably like the extent of the similarities. Anyway, so we're gonna leave that one on there because I have seen the movie and I want to read the book. So the next 3 books we have on here are books 4 through 6 in the Shatter Me series. I'm not really sure why I have them on my want to read list because I generally try to stick to the next book in the series on this list, and I've only read the first book, so none of these are the next book in the series. So even though I do know I want to read these books, I think I'm gonna go ahead and delete them just for continuity's sake. So Restore Me, book 4 in the Shatter Me series, we're gonna delete that. Defy Me, book 5 in the Shatter Me series, gonna delete that. And Imagine Me, book 6 in the Shatter Me series, we're gonna delete that as well. So the next book is The Reunion by Kayla Olson. 2 former teen stars reconnect at the reunion for their hit TV show. They discover their feelings for one another were not merely scripted in this charming and heartwarming novel, perfect for fans of Christina Lauren and Sally Thorne. Now, I'm not a fan of either of those because I've only read one Christina Lauren book, which was Love in Other Words, and I did not like that book. And I've only read one Sally Thorne book, which was The Hating Game, which I hated. No pun intended, but it's a nice little plus, I guess. So the fact that it says perfect for fans of those, I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and say let's delete this book because it says it's perfect for fans of those authors and I have not read any books that I've enjoyed by those authors, so we will just go ahead and delete it. Sorry. Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. We don't even have to click on this to look at it, okay? Because I desperately want to read this series. However, I feel like I have to read The Remnant Chronicles first, which is the series that takes place before the Dance of Thieves duology. I do own the first book in that series, The Kiss of Deception. I haven't read it yet. One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. This is a TV show, isn't it? Yeah, on Peacock. It's a young adult thriller. Pay close attention and you might solve this. On Monday afternoon, 5 students at Bayview High walk into detention. Bronwyn the Brain is Yale-bound and never breaks a rule. Addie the Beauty is the picture-perfect homecoming princess. Nate, the criminal, is already on probation for dealing. Cooper, the athlete, is the all-star baseball player, and Simon, the outcast, is the creator of Bayview High's notorious gossip app. Only Simon never makes it out of that classroom. Before the end of detention, Simon's dead, and according to investigators, his death wasn't an accident. On Monday, he died, but on Tuesday, he'd planned to post juicy reveals about all 4 of his high-profile classmates, which makes all 4 of them suspects in his murder. Or are they the perfect patsies for a killer who's still on the loose? Everyone has secrets, right? What really matters is how far you would go to protect them. I'm leaving it, okay? Especially since it was a nominee for Reader's Favorite Young Adult Fiction in 2017. That is how you write a blurb for a book. That had me hook, line, and sinker, and like, I am leaving that. I feel like a lot of authors and editors and publishing teams need to read that and take notes. But that had me. That was good. I'm leaving that. The next book is Ignite Me, book 3 in the Shatter Me series. So, again, for continuity's sake, just gonna delete it. I don't even remember putting this on here. The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers, who wrote Redeeming Love that I read back in November and I absolutely loved. I don't even know what this book is about. Let's see. But I would love to get more into Francine Rivers, especially since from what I know, she mainly writes Christian fiction. An unexpected and redemptive love story, a probing tale that reminds us that mercy can shape even the most broken among us into an imperfect yet stunning masterpiece. A successful LA artist, Roman Velasco, appears to have everything he could possibly want: money, women, fame. Only Grace Moore, his reluctant, newly hired personal assistant, knows how little he truly has. The demons of Roman's past seem to echo through the halls of his empty mansion and out across his breathtaking Topanga Canyon view. I'm leaving that, obviously. It wasn't even really a question on whether or not I was going to leave it. I just kind of wanted to know a little bit more about what the book was about. The next book is Renegades by Marissa Meyer, which I own. It has been on my physical TBR now for over a year and a half because I bought a box set of this trilogy in the summer of 2023. And I have not read it yet, but it seems like I would love it because it's about superheroes. And I feel like you never see any books about superheroes. And I grew up such a Marvel fan, and so I feel like this would just be perfect for me. Hence why I haven't read it yet, because what if I read it and I don't like it? Someday I'll read it. Okay, The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I do own this book. I'm pretty sure we'll leave it. The Alchemist. This series has intrigued me for so long. The book is called The Alchemist by Michael Scott, but it's the first book in the Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel. If you've read Harry Potter, you know Nicholas Flamel appears. He is mentioned in the Harry Potter series. And so is it like kind of Harry Potter adjacent? Like not necessarily like connected to the series, but like similar? Nicholas Flamel was born in Paris on the 28th of September 1330. Nearly 700 years later, he is acknowledged as the greatest alchemist of his day. It is said that he discovered the secret of eternal life. The records show that he died in 1418, but his tomb is empty and Nicholas Flamel lives. The secret of eternal life is hidden within the book he protects. The Book of Abraham the Mage. It's the most powerful book that has ever existed. In the wrong hands, it will destroy the world. And that's exactly what Dr. John Dee plans to do when he steals it. Humankind won't know what's happening until it's too late. And if the prophecy is right, Sophie and Josh Newman are the only ones with the power to save the world as we know it. Sometimes legends are true, and Sophie and Josh Newman are about to find themselves in the middle of the greatest legend of all time. It's a middle grade fantasy, and so I feel like that could be kind of fun.
Leaving it.
Wasn't even a question. The next book, Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I actually just recently acquired this book. I got it in my book thrifting video. This is one of those 2000s era dystopian fiction books, and I cannot express to you how much I love dystopian fiction. I read so many dystopian books in March, and it just totally reignited my love for the genre. This book was so iconic in like the Tumblr era. Cannot believe I've still never read it. The Hawthorne Brothers by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 4th book in the Inheritance Games series, which I actually own. Definitely will be saving it. Still haven't read it. I haven't heard great things about this one, so it makes me a little bit hesitant to read it, especially with how much I loved the original trilogy. The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, the first book in the Winter Night trilogy. At the edge of the brush and wilderness, winter lasts most of the year and the snow drifts grow taller than houses. After Vasilia's mother dies, her father goes to Moscow and brings home a new wife. Fiercely devout, city-bred, Vasilia's new stepmother forbids her family from honoring the household spirits. The family acquiesces, but Vasilia, that's not how you say that, Vasilisa, is frightened, sensing that more hinges upon their rituals than anyone knows. And indeed, crops begin to fail, evil creatures of the forest creep nearer, and misfortune stalks the village. All the while, Vasilisa's stepmother grows ever harsher in her determination to groom her rebellious stepdaughter for either marriage or confinement in a convent. That's so aggressive, but it sounds interesting. It sounds like a Cinderella retelling, which I do love. Oh my gosh, I'm just like scrolling in the reviews, and here's this one. Bam, 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 bam. This sound is not coming from the construction workers or the firefighters' axes who are trying to enter my kitchen that I put on fire with my last cooking attempt. I literally hit my head against the wall several times because I should have read this book before. That is funny. It's got a 4.09 average star rating, and it was a nominee for Reader's Favorite Fantasy in 2017, and it's young adult, so obviously no spice there. And I think I will leave that. The next book is Misfit by Elle Kennedy, the first book in her prep series, and I think I'm just gonna go ahead and delete this book, but I think overall Elle Kennedy is just not for me. Her most famous series that she's written is like her Briar U universe, that includes like the Off-Campus series, The Deal, Garrett Graham, one of Book Talk's favorite book boyfriends. But those books are so spicy, and the language that the male main characters use is just not something that I want to continue reading. Sorry, Elle Kennedy, we're gonna just delete this. Idle Burning by Rin Usami. That is a pretty cover. So it's Japanese literature. Akari is a high school junior obsessed with Oshi. Masaki Ueno, a member of the popular J-pop group Maza Maza. I know I just mispronounced everything I just said. She writes a blog devoted to him and spends hours addictively scrolling for information about him and his life. Whoa! It's a devotion that borders on the religious. Masaki is her savior, her backbone, someone she believes she cannot survive without, even though she's never actually met him. Whoa, this is so aggressive. A blistering novel of fame, disconnection, obsession, and disillusion by a young writer not much older than the novel's heroine, Idle Burning shines a white-hot spotlight on fandom and stan culture, the money-making schemes of the pop idol industry, the seductive power of social media, and the powerful emotional void that opens when an idol falls from grace, only to become a real and very flawed person. I don't know. I think I'm good. Delete. We Free the Stars by, oh no, Hafsa Faisal, the second book in the Sands of Arawiya series. We're just gonna delete it because it's the second book in the series. What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. This book is on Kindle Unlimited, I'm pretty sure. So we're gonna leave that. The Woman in the Library by Solari Gentile. It's a mystery thriller. The ornate reading room at the Boston Public Library is quiet until the tranquility is shattered by a woman's terrified scream. Security guards take charge immediately, instructing everyone inside to stay put until the threat is identified and contained. While they wait for the all-clear, four strangers who'd happened to sit at the same table pass the time in conversation, and friendships are struck. Each has his or her own reasons for being in the reading room that morning. It just happens that one is a murderer. An unexpected, twisty literary adventure that examines the complicated nature of friendship and shows us that words can be the most treacherous weapon of all. Interesting. The cover is really intriguing too. Ooh, it says it's on Kindle Unlimited. Even better. We'll leave it. Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. I have not read any R.F. Kuang books, but I think it is so cool when authors can write in many different genres and do them well, because I feel like so often authors kind of write themselves into a corner of only doing a specific genre, and so I think it's really cool when authors are able to do multiple genres. The next book is Finley Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. And I was about to say, like, a lot of these next books I'm gonna leave, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I want to read this book, because I do know that it's a cozy mystery, which I generally don't like cozy mysteries. Like, if I'm gonna read a mystery, just give me the high stakes. So I'm actually gonna delete this. Don't tell anyone. 1,000 Heartbeats by Kira Cass. I do want to read more of Kira Cass's books. I read the Selection series and absolutely loved it. However, this past August, I read The Siren, which was her debut novel, which was an experience. But I would really like to read some of her other books. Betting on You by Lynn Painter. I own this book. I can see it on my bookshelf over there. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I haven't read many memoirs. That doesn't mean I hate them. Although I wonder if maybe I won't appreciate it as much as most people do, because, fun fact about me, I did not grow up watching iCarly. Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. Oh no. Cozy mystery. Family trip to Antarctica. That's not real. After a school fundraiser goes disastrously awry at her hands, Bernadette Fox disappears, leaving her family to pick up the pieces, which is exactly what her daughter Bea does, weaving together an elaborate web of emails, invoices, and school memos that reveals a secret past Bernadette has been hiding for decades. That actually sounds interesting. We'll leave that. The President is Missing by Bill Clinton and James Patterson. I own that book. We shall leave it. A Slice of Heaven by Cheryl Woods, the second book in the Sweet Magnolias series. I own that. The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sengu Mandana. Oh no, but she's on social media. And I about just had a meltdown the other day when I was reading The Island by Natasha Preston about there being social media in there. So I feel like I have to delete this. Sorry. The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I've never read that. Don't worry, I won't delete it, okay? I'm not gonna delete it. She's With Me by Jessica Consolo. This book was originally on Wattpad. I read it on Wattpad. I remember liking this book. We will leave it for someday when I want to feel nostalgic about Wattpad. I'm having mixed feelings about thinking about how much time I used to spend on that app when I was younger. I was gonna say borderline obsession, but I don't even think it was borderline. I think it was just like straight up obsession. Okay, so leaving that. A Little Life. I've heard that this book is so sad, and I'm kind of like wanting to delete it. Delete. Kismet Connection. Star Charts. Nah. I Am Malala. Her memoir. Leaving that. Hercule. I don't even know how to say that. By Agatha Christie. We're gonna delete that. Realistically, never gonna read those books. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I own that book. No, I don't. I gave it away. Delete. Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. This is actually the book that the iconic Christmas film Christmas with the Cranks was based on. So I'm leaving that because I love that movie and I feel like I'd love the book too. Another superhero book, We Could Be Villains by Megan McCullough. 17-year-old fangirl Rosemary Collins lives for Vigil in Auntie studio movies. From action-packed superhero fights to sweet character moments, she's here for it all, but in a real-life crossover no one saw coming, the fandom's heartthrob supervillain Ironfall isn't as fictional as the film studio wants her to believe. Beyond the glamorous red carpet lies the government's most guarded secrets. The movies are real. Yeah. Leaving that. You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. Grace Evans, an overworked New Yorker looking for a total escape from her busy life, books an Airbnb on a ranch in the middle of Wyoming. When she arrives, she's pleasantly surprised to find that the owner is a handsome man by the name of Calvin Wells, but there are things Grace discovers that she's not too pleased about. A lack of cell phone service, a missing woman, and a feeling that something isn't right with the town. That's when you get in the car and drive away. And here's the thing. It says, despite her uneasiness and misgivings from Calvin's friends and family, I would never book an Airbnb and want to know the owner. So the fact that she's making friends with him, I'm like, girl, that's a red flag for you. I don't know about that. Delete. The next two books are Arch Enemies and Supernova, books 2 and 3 in the Renegades trilogy by Marissa Meyer, so I'm leaving those because I own them. It by Stephen King. It is one of the only horror movies I've ever really seen in my life, and for my 18th birthday, I had all my friends over to my house and we watched It, the first one, and then went to the movie theaters to watch It number 2 because it had just come out. I feel like someday I have to read this book, even though it might kill me to read it because it's almost 1,200 pages long. Not a lot of people could get away with writing a book that long. And Stephen King has done it several times. You know, I feel like this is kind of mean to say, but sometimes I look at Stephen King and I think that he looks like that old comic that I used to read in the newspaper. Foxtrot. It's not a monkey. It's a person. Sorry, Stephen King. All that to say, we're leaving it. Violet Made of Thorns by Gina Chen. Oh, it's got a quote from BuzzFeed. That's a red flag. That's a red flag already. Violet is a prophet and a liar, influencing the royal court with her cleverly phrased and not always true divinations. Honesty is for suckers. No. That gave me the ick. Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This one, it's supposed to be young adult. I have seen some people say that, like, it's not really young adult. So we're gonna go ahead and delete it because I've kind of already decided Ali Hazelwood is not for me because her books are really spicy. Delete. The Only Girl in Town by Ali Condi. What would you do if everyone you loved disappeared? What if it was your fault? For July Fielding, nothing has been the same since that summer before senior year. Once she had Alex, her loyal best friend, the one who always had her back. She had Sydney, who pushed her during every cross-country run and who sometimes seemed to know July better than she knew herself. And she had Sam. Sam, who told her she was everything and left her breathless with his touch. Now July is alone. Every single person in her small town of Lithia has disappeared. No family, no Alex or Sydney, no Sam. July's only chance at unraveling the mystery of their disappearance is a series of objects, each a reminder of the people she loved the most, and a mysterious get them back. I'm not really intrigued, to be honest. Face the Night by Lonnie Forbes. Young adult fantasy. On a harsh frontier where good and evil contend for people's minds, a young woman must fight for her true identity in this scintillating YA fantasy from the author of the award-winning Age of the Seventh Son trilogy. Once Catriona McGregor led a charmed life. Daughter of a wealthy rancher, pretty and educated, she looked forward to all the world had to offer until fate took a turn. Now family, home, and even her name have been stripped away. The blessed, rare people like Kat are supposed to use their gifts to carry out missions for the patron saints. This sounds a little bit like it is distorting religion. I'm gonna delete it because that's just not my vibe. Sign of the Slayer by Sharina Harris. First book in the American Slayers Society series. It's an urban fantasy with vampires. High school is supposed to be about studying, socializing, and marching band practice, not fighting vampires. No. Oddly enough, I don't really like vampires. Sweet. The next book is Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Levenseller, which is the second book in the Daughter of the Pirate King series, and I've not read the first book, so we're gonna delete that. 100 Vicious Turns by Paige Lee O'Brien, the first book in the Broken Tower series. Whoa, I like this cover. But a 3.65 out of 169 ratings is not great. Oh no. The main character's name is Rat. No. What kind of name is Rat? No. I can't. Okay, the next several books I'm keeping, so I'll just explain to you why I'm keeping them. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I've never read the book, obviously. It's on my want to read list, but I've never seen the movie. I've never seen Coraline. And I've heard that the book is so much more terrifying than the movie. So even though I've never seen the movie, I've decided I want to read the book to terrify myself even more. Pet Cemetery by Stephen King. Actually, we're going to delete that one because I love animals. And it makes me really sad when animals get hurt. So we're just going to go ahead and delete that one. 1984 by George Orwell. Never read it. I feel like that one's self-explanatory. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I've heard amazing things about the romance in this book, but I'm a little scared to read it because I don't have a track record for doing great with classics. Emma by Jane Austen. Again, self-explanatory. And then the next one is The Day the World Came to Town, 9/11 in Gander, Newfoundland by Jim DeFitti. Now this book is about the same story that my favorite musical is based off of. So my favorite musical of all time is Come From Away, which is about the town of Gander in Newfoundland, Canada. It was a town of a couple thousand people, and they took in more refugees from 9/11 than their own population. And so I would really like to read the book that is about that same like situation as the musical. And then the last one we're going to look at is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. And if I'm not mistaken, Shirley Jackson wrote The Lottery, which that is crazy. She did. She wrote The Lottery, which to me always baffles me, but it also low-key gives dystopian vibes. Shirley Jackson kind of seems like an author whose work I would enjoy, and it says that it's a deliciously unsettling novel about a perverse, isolated, and possibly murderous family and the struggle that ensues when a cousin arrives at their estate. A gothic thriller. That just seems like I would like it. I'm keeping that. So, that brings us to the end of this because I've been filming for over 50 minutes. That brings the total number of books on my want to read list to 495 books, which means that I got rid of 23 books, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I actually ended up keeping quite a few books, maybe even keeping more than I got rid of. Oops. Are we making progress? I never really know. But anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know that you enjoy this type of content. Comment down below how many books you have on your Goodreads want to read list if you're on Goodreads. And subscribe to my channel for more bookish content in the future. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.